Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Pacers Daily. I am your host, Hery Acosta. Last episode of the week. Happy Friday, everybody. Let's dive straight into it. Like and subscribe for more of this content. Now, we're going to talk about DeLon Wright. Now, last episode, I did mention the fact that what happened to Monte Morris could happen to DeLon Wright. After the injury, he could get cut because they're not going to see enough for him to actually make the team. And like I put on here, I was right. DeLon Wright was cut right after, early morning, right after I actually released the episode. We had been informed that he got cut kind of during the signing of campaign. Now, that unfortunately, I saw that coming a little bit just because, we saw it with Morris. I mean, Morris is a good player, but he wasn't able to play. He has that calf injury. You don't want to risk a training camp guy getting a big injury and then you don't see enough of him, so you got to let him go and see if any other team picks him up. Now, DeLon Wright's injury was pretty scary. I mean, it looked like he was genuinely knocked out for a second. I'm hoping he's okay. Those head injuries are not something to play with because, they can cause a lot of whole other issues up here. We see it in football, how many concussions lead to, chronic head pain and just stuff like that. So praying for the best for DeLon Wright, and I'm hoping that once he's cleared, he can find a team during the regular season. Just because he is a good role player, he is there when he's needed. So I'm hoping some team will bring him back. But he was doing okay. He was doing okay when he played, but not a lot of really things to look at there, just because he didn't get to play as much as we hoped. So, I'm just hoping for the best. Now, for a player that the injury bugs are already kicking our butts, TJ McConnell is out for a month with a hamstring injury. This is not what we need. With our starting point guard out and now our sixth man out, we just don't need that. Now we got Nembhard, and then to be fair, it's time to see what Cam Jones can do. I know it's early, and I know he's coming off an injury where he might be out to right at the beginning of the season. But it's time to see what he's going to do, just because we're going to need him in the lineup because of McConnell's injury. We also could just find another point guard for a training camp deal and just see what he can do. That's kind of one of the reasons we brought in Cam Payne. So maybe Cam Payne just kind of got himself a roster spot because of these injuries. Now, McConnell, this sucks just because McConnell's not really known for being injury prone. Now, he had that little bit of a back issue last season, and every now and then he'll miss a game, but it's usually nothing crazy. But he's not going to be there for the start of the season, so that's two key pieces out for the first game against the Thunder, which, we really don't want that. But at the end of the day, we can't control that. That's just basketball. That's just how it goes. But hoping for the best for McConnell. If it's only a month, he should be back in the second week of the season. So, straight to it. And we all know he's already going to bring that energy. He's going to be that guy off the bench that just pretty much shows you that he can start on most teams. And so we'll see how that goes. But, that's not the best piece of news that you want, especially as a Pacers fan, knowing you already have to deal without Halliburton all season. Also, there was a report that Jason Tatum wants to play this season, making him one of the first people to wait less than a year to come back from a torn Achilles. I personally, I don't agree with that. I like Halliburton. I don't think he should play at all this year. I think he should just heal it and just come back stronger than ever. And I think Tatum should do the same thing. But at the end of the day, we can't really control what these athletes do. But if he really wants to heal that Achilles, he would wait for next season. But that's just a random side note. Now, next we're going to talk about Furf, the man, the myth, the legend, Johnny Furphy. One of his big components to him being kind of jumping already from Season 1 to Season 2 was kind of his gym transformation, built muscle, not afraid to go in against anybody, better at taking the three, just kind of overall arched his game a little bit. Now, we all knew his skill set coming in. We knew he was a athletic three-point shooter, but he just hadn't really broken out yet because, well, he was a second round pick and there was not a lot of space for him in the lineup. But with Turner gone and with Halliburton out, there's a spot in that lineup, in that bench unit, that kind of has Furphy's name written all over it. I think he's going to be one of the first people off the bench. I could be wrong. He could be kind of like the 10th man or 11th man at the moment. But also with McConnell out, that pretty much just throws him in the lineup. So hoping that that's the case because I want to see what he can do. I think he can be a very consistently good role player. I think he can get minutes. I think he could get his points, rebounds, everything that he needs. So I'm hoping to see Furphy kind of just dominate. Just because I'm a very big fan of Furphy. And I just think he can really get to a level that people don't really see him getting to because he's a second round pick in this era. And so, just hoping. The Pacers have been doing pretty good with second round picks. I mean, look at Andrew Nembhard. Andrew Nembhard was a starter as a rookie. Andrew Nembhard started on a finals team, Eastern Conference Finals team. So there's that. And last but not least, I kind of just want to talk about the guard depth now that Halliburton and McConnell are both out. You're gonna have Nembhard and Mathurin starting. But now the bench unit gets a little weird. Obviously, Shepherd is most likely going to be the backup for shooting guard. And without McConnell, that's got Cam Jones written all over it, which I kind of mentioned earlier. So we went from Hallie, Nembhard, McConnell, Mathurin to Nembhard, Mathurin, Jones, Shepherd. Which isn't really, it's not, I'm not going to call it a downgrade. I'm just saying we got to play with what we have. And now it's just time for at least those two off the bench to just show what they're capable of. I know it's going to be hard for Cam Jones, another second-round rookie. But, we saw him in college. We know what he's capable of. And Shepherd, on the other hand, he's been exactly what we hoped for out of Belmont. Late first-round pick, a little bit out of the lottery. He's been producing more than our lottery pick from that season, Jarris Walker, who I still think can have a really good career here in Indy. But with Shepherd, we've seen what he can do. Heck of a defender, really good three-point shooter, just a little handsy sometimes. He can pick up quick, easy fouls. That's just something to look on. But that's also what happens when you're a very good on-ball defender. Neesmith has that same issue. Neesmith will pick up 2-3 fouls in the first 2-3 quarters, and have to kind of play more conservative. But with Shepherd, just keep playing that pace, but kind of do what Neesmith does, get on him, but kind of put the hands back a little bit because Shepherd does defend with his hands up a lot. So that's just something to look at. But I genuinely think that the Pacers are going to be fine. Obviously, I'm not just saying that as a fan. I'm saying that as an analyst. I just think that the Pacers themselves have a good offensive scheme, and they also know how to defend correctly. Now, I don't take the Timberwolves game as a defensive scheme because it's a preseason game. Everyone's just trying to prove their worth. Also, Johnny Juice Shank randomly popped off, so that stuff like that just happens. But you're not going to see the Pacers allow 134 points every game. That's just not what's going to happen, especially when all of our best defenders are healthy. So we'll see how that goes. But as always, I'm your host, Hery Acosta. This is Pacers Daily. Boom, baby, and go Sirs.